Hey, it's Trip here from the 87th. This video is about the engine start procedure and cockpit setup in BMS 4.33. Information is current as of update 2. This is by no means a by-the-book startup procedure. It's simply my effort to get the airplane up and running in a timely and efficient manner. So I start over on the left side panel, and I'm in the 2D mode. I find it a lot easier just to click around to the different panels rather than trying to coordinate the mouse movement with my head movement with track IR, kind of playing pin the donkey on all these switches and knobs. So this seems to work the best for me. So I come over on the electrics panel and go 2 clicks to the full 4 position on the master switch. If there are airplanes starting next to me, then I come over to the left side panel here. Anywhere in this area you get a green cursor indication, and you can close the canopy. It makes it a lot quieter. And then back over to the left side panel. The fuel switch comes to norm, the comm switch comes to up front controls, the UFC position. I pre-position these external light switches. Even though the battery switch is on, the external lights won't be on until the aircraft generator is up to speed. Next is the JFS switch. Make sure you right click on this. While that's winding up, I come over to the right side panel, and just below the armrest in this 2D view is the air source knob, that knob right there. So I turn that to the norm position. And then I just come up and I wait for, I don't do anything until the RPM spools up to about 20 to 22%. So we'll just wait for that to happen. Alright, so over on the left side panel, I bump the throttle up to more than halfway. And in this area of the throttle itself, I just left click and then pull the throttle to idle. And that should be enough to introduce fuel and electrics, and now the engine is spooling up. So while that's happening, come over to the right side panel and get this INS aligning. That takes a long time to align, so we start that off first. Turn on these Avionics power switches. Come up front here to the power sensor switches. There's 4 of them. The right one here is a radar altimeter. It takes 2 clicks to get it to come forward. Now again, until the engine generator is up to speed, these cockpit internal lights aren't going to work, so I don't do anything with those. And I just wait until I get to this page right here, and then I go to a couple clicks, go to DTE, and then hit load, and just sit here while that loads. After that's done, I come up and get something viewable in the HUD. I see that I have a lot of fault lights from the engine start. So the way you correct those, the correct way to do it is come over to the test page and hit this clear OBS, and that clears those faults. An easier, faster way to do it is just double click on the fault acknowledgement light here, and those fault lights will go away, or fault indications will go away. And now I can tap off the master caution. Alright, so now the engine's up and running, and from here on it's just cockpit setup. So I come back over to the left side panel, and I start a flow from this rearmost panel up forward. So even though I don't plan on using the terrain following, I put it in enable, and I have a video on the purpose of that switch. So I just have it there in case I do decide to use terrain following. Lights are already on. Get the ECM if I'm going to do an ILS, or even if I'm not, just out of procedure, I turn the ILS knob on here. Get the radios going, put the selector in both, and turn up the volumes for COM 1 and COM 2. Also the threat button or knob here the volume needs to come up, and the missile tone volume needs to come up so that you can hear those. And I arm the seat while I'm here. Next thing is I'm going to use the helmet mounted cueing system. I click that on. I like to have the ECM dispenser here in manual. and make sure these there are 7 of these selector switches here for the ECM panel. Make sure you power them on. The parking brake we didn't set beforehand because it won't even move until the engine's going. Even though the electric switch, master switch is on, you have to wait till you get hydraulics before the switch will activate. So that comes on, and then I continue here. I get the master arm and simulate, and then up front the handoff switch. Well, in this case it's internal, but some airplanes you have to manually switch this on. Alrighty, I need to talk to somebody, so I come up to the comm radios, and if we're going to use 15 for tower and 6 for strike frequency, I'll set the strike frequency in first. Here it's already been loaded, it's showing 6. I can go ahead and hit it again here, put 6 in the scratch box. The frequency is 349, that's how I verify that preset 6 is actually on the correct frequency. So I go ahead and hit enter here, and then come back to comm and hit 15, that's tower. Now I don't know what that frequency actually is until I dauber up to 15, and I can see that that is the correct tower frequency. So before I enter this preset, I want to make sure it's on the correct frequency. So then I hit enter, and then I want to hear my wingman, so I select the appropriate VHF frequency, and again check the actual frequency before you hit enter. Well, I'm at steer point 1. I want to go to steer point 2, so I get that selected. I like to display the winds on the DED, and I like the drift cutout switch and cutout so that all my HUD information is centered in the HUD and not slewed off to one side. When you have strong crosswinds, it can get slewed quite a bit and hard to read, so I just keep it centered. Now I've got a 4-minute align cycle going on the INS that's configurable in the configuration file. So when that's aligned, I come over here and I make sure that I left click on this, just one click to get it to the nav position. Now if I need to set up lights, I can set up some cockpit lights however I wish, and then back up to no faults on the panel, and come back up. And a few things that I want to do first before I do anything in the DED is I want to get the FLIR going, even though I'm maybe not planning on using it, just have it available. And I want to get the TFR going, again for the same reason. And then the next most important thing is going to be the TGP, get that going. So I go to air to ground, and I go to the TGP page, and I put that in standby, air to ground. And then I flip up to the air to air mode, and I put the TGP in air to air. So now those are both available. When they're timed out, they'll be available no matter whether I go to air or air to ground. So that's set up. Alright, the FCR is finished timing out. I put the selector here on continuous. Now the INS is in nav, and I will see my wingman on here as soon as the flight lead hits control 0 on his keyboard. Our wingman will display, and also other flight members in the same package will display here. Back to the radar, my technique is to put it in TWS because if I'm the number 2, 3, or 4 wingman, after takeoff I want to lock the aircraft ahead of me. If I'm number 2, I want to lock up lead, so I put him on the I put the set on the lowest range value, make sure I'm covering his current altitude with the elevation, and then after takeoff all I have to do is a quick burst of TMS right, and I'll lock him up here. And not only will I have his information down here, but when I'm in air-to-air mode, I'll have all that information that I need for the rejoin here. And again, checking, double checking, triple checking that you're not in arm on the weapons switch. Alright, so we'll take that back to the nav position and back to FCR. Alright, in the next thing that I want to think about doing is getting the wingman set up in the IDM. So to access that IDM, I hit list, and then list and then sequence. No, 0 and then sequence. No, that doesn't work. Let's start over. How about list, enter. Alright, the air-to-ground data link shows that our flight is, our family address is 20. So I'm the lead ship, so my own ship is 21. So if I go to sequence, then I can enter the other flight members from the same package here. So all 4 of my guys are listed here. So I hit the DCS up arrow until I get to position number 5. Now I can hit like 1-1 would be the flight lead, and if it's a 4 ship, I can enter all 4 of the other aircraft. But if I have more than 1 flight to enter, then I just want to enter the element lead. So I might enter 1-3 here, and then another element might be 4-1 and 4-3. So the theory is, if I know where the element lead is, I know where his wingman is, because he's supposed to be nearby supporting him. Alright, so I'll go back to return. Okay, the next thing I might want to do is set the bingo fuel. So I hit list and then 2, and that's bingo. Bingo is briefed at 4,000, let's say, so we'd set 4,000 in there, and then hit enter. Another thing that I might want to do is go to the cruise page and activate this TOS by hitting mode select, and I have another video that explains why I'm doing that, but it's going to put carrots up on the altitude and the airspeed scale once I'm airborne with the gear up. Alrighty, this is not correct. Let's go back to standby and CRM. So we get this ready for takeoff again. Alright. Okay, I think that's about it. Let me check here. Air-to-air TACAN, if I want to do that, I hit the TILS button, TACAN ILS ICP button number 1. And again, I have a video on how to set up air-to-air TACAN, so you can look at that, get that information. If I'm dropping GBUs as I am today, then I need to go to the to this page, list 0 then 5, and I need to change this air-to-ground mode from training to combat. So again, I use the DCS switch, and I put the asterisk around training and hit any switch here, any number on the ICP panel, and it'll switch it to combat. If I need to change my laser codes, I can do that also, or set the start time. And then back to return. Alrighty, just looking over my list of things to do here. I think that's all I wanted to say about that. If you don't know the altimeter setting, you can get that from Tower by hitting T twice and then hitting 1. And she's telling me the altimeter is 3059, which is crazy high, but right now I need to set it. So I put the cursor on the rotary and use the mouse rotary to go up to 3059. Okay, so now that is set. So it's showing an altitude, a field elevation of 100 feet. So if for some reason you didn't use the tower to give you the altimeter setting, and you ask another wingman and he gave it to you in hectopascals, well, you can't set that there because yours is calibrated in inches of mercury. If you know the field elevation is 90 feet or 100 feet, then just come down to the altimeter and rotate the setting knob until you're indicating 100 feet, and now you will have the correct altimeter setting. Alright, I do think that is all I wanted to say about that, and I hope this will help somebody, and trip out.